Yes, hello. Thank you very much that I can be here. I mean, however, after I heard the introduction of Chrissy Sørensen, I think that I bring to you things that you know already. But on the other hand, it's always good if one can compare the concept that you are learning with here in school and the concept that I am using, or like my colleagues and me are using in the project assessment of transversal skills. Before I forget, I put some flyers of the project here on the piano, so those who are interested or those who still need stuff for their reflection, please just get them. And otherwise, I guess that the slides are also available via the school's website, isn't it? So, the project assessment of transversal skills started in May 2015 and involves 11 European Union countries from Cyprus over to Ireland, and like also partners from Finland, from Estonia. So like a broad range of schools. Lower secondary, so students aged from 10 to 15 years are trying to learn with a new model. As you know, not all the schools are like your school, like in skills education, like really that you are already getting aware of that. Being agile is something that is maybe more important than to know exactly where the Prosecco comes from or something. I mean, even thought this is a good knowledge as well. So, like, you have most likely the skill to find out where the Prosecco comes from, even if you don't know it yet. So this is one of the skills one can have, and a range of other skills are not taught in all the schools, and it's also the question, can you teach skills? Can you teach skills, or can you only enable the students to acquire them? And I guess that this is what is done here with you. But you can judge yourself, so maybe this presentation also helps you to reflect, like, is this what we are doing? How is this in relation to what is done in this project? So, like, ATS 2020, Assessment of Transversal Skills, is driven by assessment-based learning. Assessment here more in the sense of feedback, but you will learn more about this later. And we are basing on a learning model that is very learner-centered, which means that the learner is in the center, but which does not mean that the learner is left alone. So actually, even if you maybe sometimes doubt it, this is much more work for the teacher. Like, enabling is much more work than just standing in front of an audience and talking. Is comparatively an easy task. The more difficult task is to like really try to find the best way with everyone. Because actually, like, if I was your teacher and I was teaching with this model, I would try like really to say, okay, the curriculum says you should achieve this skill or that skill, but like now, how will we do it? We negotiate together, and you yourself, you try to find the way by like saying, okay, I can already do this, but like, how do I get farther? And I, as a teacher, and your teachers, I guess, will do so as well, would enable you to set yourself strategies and to see how can I go on this learning journey. So, like, I hope that this makes for everyone learning more beautiful and really something that is an adventure. Like a journey is an adventure. Something to discover, as you just heard before, so I feel still that I'm repeating what I heard in the introduction. So, like, it would be, here it's depicted as a cycle, but actually what we have is a spiral, and this spiral goes up and up and up throughout our whole life. And Like once we discover that learning, actually like you started doing it when you were born, when you were very small. And learning is not something that you just have to study something and throw it out for an exam and hopefully get some good grades. This is maybe the reason why Ralph failed so much. Like he was like forced, okay, you have to study this and you have to like reproduce it the way the teacher wants it. Sometimes this needs to be done as well. I would call it a life skill, because sometimes later in life you might also have a boss who just wants something, so you have to find your way in between what do I want, what does my boss want, and still try to make yourself also a little bit satisfied while still keeping your job, for instance. But on the other hand, like you acquire skills by like really thinking, okay, what can I do? What can I do to improve? And like, where can my teacher help me? And then you would collect the evidence of your learning, yourself proud to show, okay, this is what I did. This is what I did, and this is how I prove that I got better, let's say, in organization skills or in discovering like how to trap a fake news and like really show to others, look, like this, you don't need to believe in it, because I found out the picture was forged this way, and the news also, if you compare with different sources, is a fake. The scientific basis of the ATS 2020 model, as I told you, it's assessment driven. What you know as assessment in general is formative assessment. This is the grades you get at the end of the school year. I don't know whether the grades are given here also in numbers, like Ralph showed it. So many students throughout Europe are still thriving, like to get a 1, which is in most of the countries the best grade. So anyway, the best grade. Many students still even have midterm exams when they are 15, which are crucial for their further career, because they partly also determine in which school they will go afterwards. Still, as you heard, like the best ones used to fail these exams. And why? Because these exams only cover a certain part of knowledge, and actually not really sustainable knowledge. It's something that you learn and then you kind of really, you get rid of it in order to get the grade, and then you feel like, now I can air my head, I can go out and I do sports or I enjoy my holidays or whatever. And I maybe never ever in my life want to know anything about biology, where I had to study all these forms of stones or whatever. Skills would enable you, like, I know now how I can find out about stones, and I made my nice e-portfolio about stones, making pictures myself and describing how the stones look like. So, like, it's much more fun. Studying is fun, studying has to be fun. And it's anyway still also needs assessment, but a different type of assessment. This type of assessment is called formative assessment, and every good teacher will always provide you with it. It would be this remark like, okay, you did well here, maybe here, take this part of your work and try to improve it. Or here you maybe invested a little bit too little love. Like, please go out, make some pictures again, make them look nicer, and then put a little bit more effort in describing them, so like it will add to what you are investigating in. Formative assessment, however, doesn't need to be given by the teacher alone. Actually, you should start by yourself. Maybe you already do. Do you know about self-evaluation? Do you do this in class? Yeah, I see. So, like, anyway, I'm explaining you things you know already. So, like, maybe you don't know yet. This is rooted in science. So, this is like, there was a big study of John Hattie and Helen Timperley, and it's called The Power of Feedback. This is mainly about peer assessment, so like how you can help each other, but also about formative assessment by the teacher. Like they use the word feedback because it doesn't feed you only back, but it also feeds you forward. Like it helps you answering the question, where am I going? And there were other scientists, Black and William, they put it more in the teacher's perspective, but practically pose the same question, where is the learner going? And actually, if I, as a teacher, get your homeworks, no matter whether they are electronically, an essay or whatever, this also gives me feedback. This gives me assessment. Like the teacher and you, they are partners, and I will see from the homework, okay, maybe I did not put enough effort in the explanation. Like normally when the homework is bad, there are like two people responsible, like the student who maybe did not put like all his effort, but like I could always question myself, okay, something is going wrong. Like why don't they like doing the work? Or like was something missing? Like do I maybe need to show one more video, or do I have to find new methods that you do your homework? Maybe you don't want to do a written essay, but you would like to like also do a video blog with your reflection. Like it's all possible, and I guess you also get all these possibilities. So you see what you are doing is very innovative, but still already rooted in science. And like after asking yourself, where am I going? You ask yourself, how am I going? This would be like the question, do I want to write an essay? Do I want to do a video? Do I prefer to do a presentation or whatever? And then I ask myself, where to next? So this would be after I evaluate myself and I say, okay, I liked it this way, however, I was still not happy with this type of video I did. I would like to try it with a different technical setting. I would like to try it with a fellow student as a camera person. So there is a lot of ways to learning and to make learning an adventure, and also to evaluate yourself and to assess yourself and be assessed by others. A practical proof from the project EU-Folio. This was the project that was preceding the project ATS 2020. EU-Folio was devoted to implement e-portfolios in classrooms, also across Europe. And I have a wonderful quote from a student from Cyprus who said that the self-assessment process helped him so much. So he really felt that each time he is faced with a challenge, he can apply his knowledge, he can set his goals and his strategies, and at the end review his work and for any mistakes and find areas for improvement. So he really already got the spirit, okay, this does not only help me for my school life, this does not only prepare me for university life, this I can use it maybe also when I'm 30, when I'm working in projects, when I'm working in industry, when I'm working no matter where. So like you stay like really flexible, you have the skills to learn and to develop yourself. Here you have the ATS 2020 areas of skills. I saw that you have different types of skills. However, I maybe just allow you a minute to look at it and maybe to do a very brief reflection on the question, okay, where do you find here the skills that are kind of the ethos of your school? Like you see anyway, like we also have creativity and innovation. We have autonomous learning, which of course means also learning to learn, which means you know your way to study. You know that the European Union asks from all its citizens to be lifelong learners. I I think we should not only be lifelong learners because the European Union has it in its policies. We should be lifelong learners because this is how we started when we were babies, and this is how we keep our life like really an adventure, like how we stay curious, how we keep investigating, and how we also put everything we learn in the way that makes us find our path, which might not be the path that you see now in front of you. You know, when I was your age, I wanted to become a teacher. I wanted to become a German teacher. Later on, I wanted to become a journalist. Still, I did German studies, but also communication studies. After that, I wanted to be a literature scholar because I even fell more in love with literature. And I did it for some times. I went to Egypt. That's my name, Ghoneim, actually, it's pronounced. I went to Egypt for teaching at university, partly literature, partly language studies. But I always also was interested in media. And when I came back to Austria, and I would have insisted on being a literature teacher at university, there are only very few jobs. So, like, what I did was I took more the technology part of my knowledge and skills, and I tried to find a job in this sector, and you see anyway where I am now. Like, I can stand in front of you as you maybe can stand in a couple of years in front of other students. You will see this also today still coming up. So, also ATS 2020 has the first testimonials of students who are talking about the way they are learning. And here is one also of a Cypriot student. The colleagues in Cyprus are always very well documenting their students. There are actually beautiful videos to find. If you manage to follow the links in this presentation, you can see the whole video with the testimonial. Nicolina here says, I believe that because of the way the lessons took place this year, we were able to demonstrate our competences in technology in general, in computers, in doing assignments in the digital environment. The most interesting part was the completion of my learning journal as well as of the e-portfolio, because viewing our thoughts in an order with a specific structure helped us assess our course in the project and in the learning process. Yeah, she was mentioning my learning journal, and this is a technology part we are doing in the project, which actually is driven, as technology has always been driven by the needs you have. Not just, it should not be first that you have a technology and then you try to bring it somehow into it because you already invested money. No, it should be that you have a need and then you find the technology to meet the needs. So actually what we did was to make a plug-in for an e-portfolio environment named Mahara. You can easily also use this with Google Forms, for instance, as you are working with the G Suite. We are also having project partner schools who are using it with Office 365, OneNote class notebook. So the main thing is, again, that in this minor learning journal, you always collect your steps of learning. You analyze your prior knowledge or prior skills. You set yourself your goals, of course, with the help of your teacher. You plan strategies how to achieve the goals. You collect the evidence. This is why you need something like an electronic space, because a normal copybook would not be sufficient of today's multimedia needs. And you do self-evaluation, like you really look at yourself. Are you satisfied with the learning? Of course, here also you can use help. You can either discuss evaluation criteria with your teacher, or depending on the time, like also use rubrics that your teacher gives you. However, like, I guess you know most of these things, so I'm a little bit sad that maybe one of them, there will be not too much new you take from my presentation. However, I still hope you can put yourself at least very much in relation with it, and I thank you for listening to me.